The 80's, an unforgettable time in pop culture. Music, movies, and art in general transformed. Movies from this decade are held in high regard and are the cause of inspiration. What has been and what continues to be memories of many adults and children is now the backbone of most movies made today. Whether it's Ferris Bueller singing Twist and Shout, or E.T. and Elliot flying over the moon with the sound of John Williams, iconic moments like these aren't made anymore. But the question is, why aren't movies like this made anymore? Let's take the latter movie, just mentioned, and break down the key components that made something like that possible. E.T. the Extraterrestrial. A movie that started out as a scary film, but had a story of friendship that took over. Two unlikely friends, a broken family, and an alien that just wants to go home. The relationship of the characters and the dialogue are realistic. An older sibling not allowing the younger to play with them. Name calling and razzing, simply just being a brother or sister. Makes the strained family dynamic with a situation that is otherworldly, fun, and sometimes creepy, and you have a perfect 80's adventure. The story isn't overly complicated. The heart of the story is friendship and family. It has legitimate feelings and real-life family issues. A mom continuing to raise her 3 kids without the father around, and the kids all having different levels of understanding and coping with the split up of their parents. Spielberg reinvented cinema, starting with Jaws, into E.T., and further. Spielberg made the experience of a movie more lifelike. He made the experience that the people on set had more lifelike by being able to interact with real props and real characters. Movies today, they want the iconic moments, but they don't work for them the same way. Simple stories are replaced with overly complex and sometimes not very well ironed out ideas. Family tends not to be the core of the story anymore. Instead, CGI and green screens and green rooms and sound stages are the foundation of many movies today. Don't get me wrong. Great movies can still be made. Great movies have been made since. And they've opened the public's eyes to new culture, to geek culture. Geek culture being the mainstream nowadays. But you have to ask yourself, do these movies create the same feeling and content that they did before, that they did in the 80's? Pop culture in the 80's was dominated by comedies and teen movies by John Hughes. National Lampoon, 16 Candles, The Breakfast Club, and Ferris Bueller's Day Off, along with Uncle Buck. What comedies and teen movies made now don't try to emulate in part or simply by referencing these movies in some small way. These films focused on characters and their situations, but they made moments out of so much more, whether that be Uncle Buck's car or the fists up in the air at the end of The Breakfast Club. Money gets in the way of artistic choices. Studios don't want to sink a whole bunch of money into a project they don't believe is a sure bet. If a director said they wanted to make a movie about an alien that kinda looks like a turd, chances are the answer would be no. Directors don't want to have to work around real-life props like Spielberg did. And who could blame them? Props take additional time on set, and you need a crew at all times, operating them, and makeup being constantly applied. So, if you could set up a green room and barely leave one building, why not? As human beings, we love things that make us happy in the past, so we suffer from nostalgia. Movies now try to recreate what was already been done to ramp up the moviegoer's nostalgia. Instead of making new, original moments, they take the path of least resistance. Nostalgia can make a movie millions or even billions of dollars now. Consider what I think to be a great show, Stranger Things. The whole show is built on nostalgia for 80s movies and music. They use realistic props and sets, fun character interaction, and 80s trope after 80s trope. The experience of the show is fun, but it's not completely new. But this isn't a bad thing, it's just not something completely new. The other side of the coin is the time we're living in. Technology, more than just CGI, has changed the real-life human interaction. Cell phones make moments such as Ferris skipping school and being in the parade nearly impossible without being plastered all over social media. Heck, his parents could probably track him with their iPhones. Movies and pop culture change with every decade that comes and goes. Each one has its pros and cons. Technology sometimes makes art less palatable, or sometimes it enhances it. Values and story change the core of a movie, and the willingness for risk may rise and fall. The 80s was a truly unique time for film. Movies don't seem to capture the same magic as they did before, but they should.